Hello there, little one.
Hello and welcome to another television review from MBE. Today, John, tonight, whenever it may be, we are going to be discussing episode 7 of Scam 1992, the Harshad Mehta story. Yeah, we're here. We're at episode 7. Can't believe how quickly this series is going in. I can't believe next week is going to be the last Friday we'll be talking about this series. But we're talking about episode 7, and it's called Dalal Street Ka Dariya. I think that's how you say it. And as usual, I'll just read a little short synopsis here from IMDb. And incidentally, John, 9.1 out of 10. Again, a high rating for this.
Things are getting dark.
John, depressing.
And the episode 8.
Episode 8 is depressing for me anyway. But we talked about it last week. Episode 5 and 6 took a turn for the worse. How the tone changed from the previous 4 episodes. It gets darker again, I couldn't believe it. But anyway, Venkita Rajan gets to know that there are multiple banks involved in the money scam, and that the scam is much bigger in stature than what appears on the surface. Yes. RBI installs an investigating committee. What are the findings? I'm going to pass it over to you now, John, so you can take us through this review experience.
What are the findings? The findings are that there's multiple scamsters in this financial money market industry in general in India, but there has to be a fall guy, and poor old Harshad Mehta is the fall guy, but he's not going down without a fight, Stephen, but we'll get into that in episode 8. That's not in episode 7. Episode 7 starts with him bickering at home with his wife. A decorator falls, which I laughed my head off at. I shouldn't have, but I've got a dark sense of humour. And then he really does, and look, we spoke about that. His wife is only now starting to prod and ask questions about what's going on. Why are we in this Bombay penthouse, luxurious home, 15,000 square acre home? She's only asking questions now. She didn't ask in the previous 10 years how they got from a cupboard to a borderline presidential.
One episode it took, John.
Yeah.
Ignorance is bliss, as I say.
It is. But Stephen, look, we get a brazen and amazing speech from Pratik Gandhi, obviously Harshad Mehta. He goes to, I don't know if it's a stock exchange, he gives a speech really addressing the rumours that someone has been defrauding, the SBI been defrauding the market in general. He puts a name to it. It was only the big bull. Yeah. He says, well, I am the big bull. And everyone knows him, the big bull.
Yeah.
And yes, I did take the money, but look, yada, yada, yada. He gives a nice speech, and look, there's a great quote from it, which I loved. Yeah. This is Bombay, everything will change, but the ocean will always be there. So I am the ocean of Dalal Street. Hope that's how you say it. Dalal Street. If you have the guts, then you can almost taste the sea salt. He's, in a sense, goading he's sort of, how shall I put it, pursuers to come after him and try their best to try and bring him down. He thinks he's untouchable at this stage, and there's a moment in the next episode where he, in a sense, says he's getting power, he's getting backing from higher powers, and he is. Yeah. But I think he's speaking about God. But this guy thinks he's untouchable. It was a great start to the episode, Stephen. Bickering, discontent at home, and then he goes and gives an amazing speech, puts the sort of facade on again for his loving admirers and this crowd. What did you make about the intro? What did you make about that speech? Because I really enjoyed that.
I enjoyed it, John, but it was very surprising because the sort of last 5-10 minutes of the previous episode was all about Susheta and her issue with revealing the name of the person that's doing this massive scam, and her bosses decided not to name him. He kills that off within the first 2 minutes of this episode.
Disappointed in that.
It's kind of killed that sort of tension that was in the previous episode. But at the same time, it's Harshad Mehta all over, isn't it? Yeah. I'm not saying he doesn't give a shit or anything like that. But
he doesn't.
He thinks he's more clever than everyone at this stage, and I think he thinks, it doesn't really matter if I put my name to the big bull because everyone knows me as that anyway. Yeah. So let's not beat around the bush. It is me. The 5,000 crores, is it?
500.
500, sorry.
It becomes 5,000 as the
right.
scam sort of opens up.
That's absolutely mental. But
500 was a lot.
It was a good speech. It was a great speech, and that was a great quote as well, John. But it shows that he's still got that control. This is probably the last time. Over the next 2 episodes.
I hope he regains control.
Well, I hope so as well, John. And I think maybe the cliffhanger at the end of episode 8, there might be a shift in power once more. But for this episode in episode 8, this is probably the last time I think he's in control, as I recall.
Yeah, well, Stephen, look, you're right. Also, what you say is he thinks he's a step ahead. He thinks he's smarter than everyone else. He thinks that the market's going to open back up. The stock exchange, which is a roadblock on it just now, they're on strike at this point in the actual episode. He thinks once it opens up, he'll get back to business. The market will rebound. He'll make his money. He'll pay off his dues, and it'll all go away. But it doesn't. The market starts crashing. After the story breaks, there's and this issue with the RBI governor, Vikaramanan, I think you say, I can't say his name, Vikaramanan.
Venkataraman.
Is it
Venkataraman?
Well, there you go. We'll go with Venkataraman now, because that sounds better than what I says. He sort of continues his investigation into the scam. The market reopens up. Things aren't going bad, as I did say. Trust is evaporating in Mehta and his grow more sort of brokering company. The Sensex collapses, and Harshad's holdings have halved. So this really starts to put everything into doubt. Can he pay back his dues? Can he save the likes of... I'm going to bring his name up. It's actually in the next episode where he comes...
Also
Parwani.
Just after they came off stage,
yeah.
When they're walking down that corridor, they actually figured out the deliberate delay in opening the market up again coincided with the press release as well, which we already knew about as audience members, but they didn't. They figured that out. That was deliberate, and that's that part, and obviously,
and Ashman obviously gave him a couple of things on his mind, essentially saying, "Why did you admit it?" We have got a graphic
because you can see my computer screen here.
There's nothing wrong with that, Steve. You've got a nice MacBook. You should be showing that off. You should be proud of that. My iPad, not so much, because that is horrendous. That cover is older than me now. It has to be changed. The iPad's getting changed completely. And incidentally, if I can actually speak, it's getting late. I've been out a long time. Expect some stutters and some mispronunciations of words, because it is getting late here. But look, I digress. With that in mind, let's move on. The piranhas are suckling. They're wanting their money back. The investors are phoning them up. They're unhappy. Parwani's phoning them up. What's happening? We've got a deal here. If this comes out, I'll be ruined. I've said a little ugly trio are scheming. I hate that fat guy. I thought I put his name down. I didn't. There's a guy who looks like Warwick Davis. There's a guy who looks like Joe Pesci. There's a guy who looks like an absolute beast. And they're all suckling. He thinks he can be the next big bull. Not a chance, mate. You've got no charisma. No one's going to follow you like a messiah figure, as they have done with Harshad Mehta. You're dreaming, mate. And then obviously Citibank, Tiaji, and I'm forgetting his name now, Acadia.
Yeah, I just call him the Citibank guy.
Yeah, AJ Acadia. They're trying to ruin him. They're sensing there's blood in the water. They can go after him. So I like that aspect. You've got these recurring antagonists. I hate calling them antagonists because they're not really. Harshad's the antagonist, let's be honest. But they're just trying to get their little oars in and bring this guy down, drown him if you'd like. And there's a great quote about drowning later on as well. But Stephen, also there's a moment as well where he goes to the golf course. He tries to meddle in with, I think it's a guy from Grinley's, the bank that gave him the 500 crores, bailed him out initially. Tries to get bank receipts off him and fails. And he gets a little metaphorical lesson in life at it, whilst he's at it. Your mind missed the shot. He tries to swing, completely misses it. It's like me when I started playing golf. I was like Happy Gilmore. And he gives him he says basically, you're not, this isn't your game. You don't belong here. He's essentially saying you're out your depth. This money market, you should have remained as a trader. Stay within the parameters of what you can actually control. You're out your depth. People are coming after you, and it's not going to end well for you. And of course, they do, man. The RBI uncover the scale of the scam at this point. 5,000 crores have been moving around in the nefarious circles. Sacheta starts digging into his dealings again too. She wants a follow-up story. She's not happy about what happened with the first story. As you says, his name not getting unveiled. And the only way to get that is to continue to dig and also try and find dirt on him. So lots of things are starting to slowly, methodically build up. He's not getting it all his own way. He's not meddling in with this Grinley's guy like he did before on the plane and in various different places with Parwani. Things are starting to turn against him, and it's at this moment I think it starts to turn. But he still believes in his mind that he can do something to change it, because he starts learning golf, and again it's almost metaphorical. This guy thinks nothing's beyond my reach. If I put my mind to it, I can belong with these people. I don't know what you made about the whole golfing course thing, the metaphorical stuff, whether you agreed with me, and the sort of methodical building up of, it's almost like the proverbial frog in the water. If you put it right into boiling water, it realises and it dies immediately. If you slowly raise the heat, the water slowly rises in temperature, it gets filled and it dies. without really realising. It's like that. This guy, if all these piranhas came after him at once, he'd be spooked and maybe do something silly, but because they're all slowly doing it bit by bit, he doesn't really realise it's building until it hits.
If there was ever an episode where the walls were closing in on him, it's probably this one.
Stephen, that's a better way of saying it.
And I think, John, one of the things I love about this series is the different groups of schemers. Well, I don't want to say schemers because Susheta is not a schemer, and she makes it clear that she's not got a personal vendetta.
See, I don't buy that. I was going to say that the second episode we'll review tonight. She says to the family, "This isn't personal. I just have a duty to report the truth." You says to your friend, "I hate him. I dislike him." The guy says, "This guy's not doing anything really wrong. Everyone's winning. The investors are being paid back.
Writing, John. I
just don't like this guy." That's what she says. So it's personal. So I don't believe that.
The other things as well, from the other groups, you're right. I think that if they all come at once, then it's a bit of a cluster F of a story to me anyway. But it's just the pacing of it I love. Also, that quote, "Your mind missed the shot," that was something that was said and implanted in his head for the rest of the episode, because we do see in the middle of the night think he's thought about this and he's thinking, I've got to up my game, and it's another metaphor.
Beautiful shot that, Steve.
It was a great shot, John. But it was just this point in the film, I was about to say, in this episode, this is where things the tide is turning, you know. I think Harshad right up to episode 6 has had it all his own way, and he's been so super confident, and that sort of speech at the very start of the episode was such a it was a pinnacle point in the story for me anyway. It's going to be very interesting to see where episode 9 and 10 take us. I know I don't really want to jump ahead just now, but I really do want to jump ahead. I want to watch all these back to back, as I've always mentioned, but I do hope he has one reprise, one more moment, because I love it when he's on top. There's just something about this guy, and I shouldn't be really cheering him on. I shouldn't be a cheerleader of, you know, Harshad Mehta, but you can't help it. He's so charismatic, you know, and he's a maverick, John. But this point in the episode, this is sort of the crucial point, the turning point, you know, when everything is sort of closing in on him, and it's only going to get worse before it gets better for him.
And Stephen, obviously it does, because there's a never expanding focus, I've said in the notes, on the investigative figures in this story. It's not really the Harshad Mehta story in these next couple of episodes. It's more, in a way it is, it's focusing on this guy's misdeeds.
Yeah.
But more and more it becomes a story of the investigative figures, the Vikara, whatever he says his name was, the guy from the RBI investigating him, this governor.
Venkita Rajan.
Venkita Rajan. Venkita Rajan, there you go. Susheta, and all of the different people sort of trying to piece by piece uncover what the hell's going on here. It really does start to sort of shift the focus, and you see that, man. There's scenes involving Mehta in this, which, and they're few and far between, but in this specific episode I think the scenes involving him, you touched upon it already, the moment he's golfing at night, his insomniac sort of golfing scene, they are standout moments for me in this episode, even though he isn't front and centre in it. It's more about Susheta, the RBI governor, the stress building on this guy. Will he want to escape? The net's closing, as you said, the walls are closing in. Great acting performance from Pratik Gandhi in this episode, because he really does look like a man who has an unbelievable, the weight of his world, of the world, his world is his world, the weight of the world on his shoulders. But Stephen, I don't know what the hell you make about this. Is that something you agree with me, that in this episode, and perhaps even the next one more so, when we see this other guy coming in, this investigative figure from the CBI, I think it is.
Yeah.
Do you agree that this is something you noticed in this episode, that it's becoming more and more about the investigation of Mehta as opposed to his actual personal journey? I mean, we see him doing things, try to stop it,
John,
fighting furiously to save himself,
it's
but
funny,
it's more and more.
Yeah, I think so. I think the way that the series is going now is what I expected from episode 1. I thought it was going to be more investigating from the very beginning, but it was more of us getting to know the character for you know, and you know, he's scheming and stuff like that, and this sort of rise, this meteoric rise to fame, you know. But this is the bit that's going to interest me now, because I know this character, I can't remember his name, John. He's a big tall fella with the glasses.
Parwani.
That's
the
that's
actual
who's getting
investigator. The investigator is. I'll try and find it. Madhaven.
Yeah.
Madhaven.
I know he rubs you up the wrong way, but there's something about him
Oh,
I
Stephen,
like.
I do like him as well. He's he's like the yin to the yang of Mehta.
He doesn't mince his words.
Yeah,
Doesn't mince his words at all, you know.
He's like an authoritarian official version of Harshad.
Yeah.
Harshad's this guy within the stock market. He's a maverick. This guy's a maverick in the investigation side.
Yeah.
You can hate him, but also love him at the same time. He has a way about him. He's cracking jokes about breakfast and stuff like that, but we'll get into that guy later because he's he is the prominent figure in episode 8.
Yeah.
But Stephen, also the story gets leaked. The RBI governor, he leaks the story of the 5,000 crore scam, and then he immediately has to convene a press conference because he's getting stick from the Prime Minister. There's uncertainty in the market. It's ready to crash in a sense. So he leaks it, knowing what he's doing, then has to deny the scale of the scam that's happening here. And then obviously he's getting destroyed by Sacheta at this press conference. She's going for blood. And also the realisation that the government are funneling money to Mehta, that's something that she starts to realise too. He starts to realise Parwani's involved, Grinley's is involved. He starts to uncover the scale of this scam. That's something I'm really starting to enjoy now. As I keep saying, it's not so much Harshad Mehta anymore. The first 7 or 6 episodes were really about this maverick figure. It slowly started to change in its direction and its focus, and it's now becoming more about, I mean, even we didn't even see in the first 6 episodes that all of the scale of this 5,000 crores that's going on. We only knew about the 500 crores and him having to show it up.
John, someone's actually just commented there, Cinematic Films, thanks for the comment, saying Harshad Mehta holds the Guinness Book of World Records for the highest number of scams on his name. That's unbelievable when you think about it.
But how many was he convicted of?
The other thing is, it's a good question, John. The other thing is how we've not been exposed to this story here in the Western world.
It's extraordinary.
It's massive.
It must be one of the biggest scams in the history of the planet.
I would say so, John. The other thing as well, you hit on a good point there. Up to now, we have been looking at this from the perspective of Harshad Mehta, and it's his story. And we've talked about this in every episode we've spoken about as well, where it's from his point of view, it's his story. Well, it's not now.
No.
It seems to be taken away from him now. And I think
he doesn't like it.
The big investigative chap, I can't remember his name again, I'm terrible with names. Big guy with the glasses.
Madhaven.
Yeah, him.
Madhaven.
I'll be asking you that again. I know.
It was like me with Pranav in the first 3 episodes. I just called him the fat guy. Now I know his name. I know the older names now.
Yeah.
Older names, apart from Victarian.
He actually says this is the Harshad Mehta story. He says it, I think it's episode 8, which we don't want to touch on just yet, but he does quote that. This is the Harshad Mehta story.
Coming to an end.
This is the version that everyone's going to find out where it's going.
Yeah.
But it's just up to now. I actually felt, John, the last 2 episodes tonally took such a shift from those first
Stephen, it was needed.
Yeah, I think so.
It was too sycophantic towards Harshad.
And we asked last week, John, do you think it'll get darker? It does.
It's getting darker. But Stephen, as an aside to that, we've got a great David v Goliath story here as well with Sacheta.
Yeah.
Her determination to get a story. It's almost a female empowerment storyline, a side plot if you'd like. She's the only woman in the Times of India building. She's getting a round of applause for obviously a pursuit of this guy. The story starting to leak from the same people who were trying to impede her investigation earlier on in the story. So I thought that was a nice little side arc, because Sacheta's a great character. It's really well acted, the character. I can't even recall the actress's name. I don't have the information in front of me.
It is.
But she's a great actor.
It's, let me see, it's Shreya Danwathari, is it?
Danwathari. She's very good in this story in general, but in this episode, really good. And again, it's just a David v Goliath, a sort of triumph in the face of adversity. I like that little side thing. I don't know if you agreed with me. Her getting the applause and it taking her aback. Yeah. She gets through the ringer in these next 2 episodes. She gets a round of applause, and then in the next episode she thinks she's responsible for the death of a certain individual, which we'll speak about shortly.
Yeah.
But what did you make about that, man? Is that something you have any thoughts on?
I don't think it was just throwing her a bone either. I think she was due that sort of adulation. I think she's been working very hard to obviously bring the truth to the public, and I think I mean that's what they do. It's certainly full of determination, female empowerment. I suppose I don't think it's jarring or anything like that. And it's certainly not shoehorned in either. She is the only woman that I think you actually see
out with the wives.
Yeah, but
Oh, yeah, in actual
the
Times of India,
India.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's any other females.
Unless
in
they're cleaning or
don't-
something and we don't get
Yeah.
to see them. I'm sure there was other females within Times
I
of
can't
India
remember,
back in
yeah.
the 90s,
Yeah.
I'm sure. But she was a sort of pioneering figure by the looks of
Yeah.
things. Stephen, another thing I took from this is just this growing sense that when you look at this story unravelling, Harshad Mehta, and the piranhas coming after him, all of his naysayers, Ajay Kedia, Tiaji, the RBI governor, Madhaven, the little free trio, Ugly Dwarfs, Manu, whatever his name is, all of
Manu,
these
yeah.
people coming after him. You realise that just despite his brazenness and the manipulation of the system, he's a guy who's took it to another level, clearly, as the comment says. No
Yeah.
other person has as many scams to their name. Despite that, it was absolutely rife in the industry. It wasn't just him.
Yeah.
It was an imperfect system, and there was loopholes there to be exploited, and this guy exploited them to the max.
Yeah.
Who's to blame in that situation? Is it the exploiter, or is it the person who left the loopholes in? And what I'm saying, in a sense, Harshad is the fall guy
Yeah.
for a broken system. And that's something I think this story continues to
John,
highlight. He's not necessarily a good guy, but I don't
Yeah.
think he's a bad guy either. He's just using it to his advantage.
John, like,
And everyone was winning.
yeah, well, that's the thing, and the thing about any system in any society, it always needs tweaked, and it takes errors to fix them. That's how we learn.
It's like flight,
Yeah,
plane
yeah.
crashes and stuff.
Yeah,
You don't realise there's something wrong until there's a disaster.
yeah,
And then they
exactly,
can fix it and sort of save it from happening again. And then obviously, Stephen, I spoke about the early morning insomnia penthouse golf session. I loved that scene as a visual scene, a technical scene, the wide shot of him standing solemnly on his own,
yeah.
Bombay behind him, sort of beautiful sky behind him, and I'm just hitting golf balls off this building. That was an amazing scene
Yeah.
for me, one of the standouts. Again, Harshad, not so much in this episode, but when he is in it, you're drawn to him. It's just a great acting performance from Pratik Gandhi. It really is. He's brilliant. You were saying he was speaking about the episode, or the show. I actually watched it too.
Yeah.
He was surprised that people were binging the success. He didn't expect it to be as much of a hit.
No.
But as someone coming from Western spheres, this is the first Indian TV show I've watched.
Exactly.
It's outstanding.
Do you know what's funny as well, John?
Outstanding.
We did the trailer reaction for this a few months ago, and it was one of the ones that we did because we were asked to do it, and we weren't sure what it obviously was about or anything like that. We weren't aware of this story. We did the reaction. I think we enjoyed what we saw.
Yeah.
It's one of those ones that a television trailer is very hard to do because you don't want to give away the story. So, and I
It's
think
long form.
we did say that. I actually said, "Is this a teaser?" Because I think it was only over a minute long. After that, it sat in our vault for quite a while. We didn't do anything with it. We weren't sure if we wanted to put it out or not.
Yeah.
I'm so glad we did.
See, I wasn't going to put it out.
No,
I
but the
thought this.
reaction-
I didn't. I wasn't going to put the reaction
Yeah.
out.
The-
I'm so
the-
glad I did.
Yeah, the feedback we've had from our community has been absolutely outstanding, and that's one of the things I love. And it's the same when we do these episodes as well. The comments we get, people keep us right on a lot of things, the terminology, a lot of abbreviations for different groups in this series as well, which can confuse the hell out of you. It actually confuses your man, him.
BRs.
We've got another comment, John, in from Cinemanante. Sorry if I'm saying your name wrong here. Films. He was technically not a criminal. People loved him as he helped the poor by making money through rich society. Yeah. We did say it last week. We said he's like a modern day Robin Hood.
Yeah.
He just invented a technique to borrow from banks that was never there in government policy.
Stephen, I'm all for taking money from these banks because they're shitheads. You've seen it with the financial crash in 2008. They don't care about the man in the street, the little man. So I loved it. I said it before, watching this, I love Harshad. I think he's a great guy. Actually looking into him, the real person, it was quite sad to see that he died so young. 47, I think he was.
40s,
2001. He's a maverick of a guy. You've seen it in the trailer. Hero, fraud. People seem to have conflicting opinions on him, but my opinion, looking at this story, it may be sycophantic, it may be biased, but I think he's a pretty good guy. All in all, I don't think he's a villain. And as I say, it's a broken system. This guy just took advantage of it. There's nothing wrong with that. Stephen, final shot of this episode. They're stepping up the investigation. It's the RBI governor, some other guy that are in a sense calling in the cavalry. It's Madhaven, this guy from the CBI. I don't know what the CBI is, incidentally. I never did look into it. I presume it's a crime investigation bureau. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah.
But that is, in a sense, building up to what's coming in this next episode, which is one of the darkest in the season as of yet. Things really start crumbling for Harshad in episode 8, and it's all because of this Mad Haven guy. He's an absolute bull. He's a bullfighter. They call him the Matador. The episode's called Matador, and he wants to bring down the bull. What is it? Even now I'm forgetting the big bull. He wants to. They want to bring him down. So, what was your thoughts in the final shot? What was your final thoughts on this episode before we round up this review of episode 7?
My impressions of that final sort of sequence, John, was that episode 8 is going to be very dark.
Things are getting real.
It's going to be very depressing, and I wasn't wrong.
Yeah. Final thoughts on the episode, Stephen. Where would you rank this? It's difficult.
Yeah.
I still maintain the second one with the old dad dying. That's one of my favourites because that was a powerful moment.
Shows you how light and airy it was. Those
don't try to light the night because it holds all your secrets. That little thing, that connection in the next episodes as well. And some of the moments, like the raiding one where he's ahead of the step or the curve of these people, and he's making them breakfast and stuff. You're vegetarian, I understand this. We've got this and that.
I'd probably put it behind that one.
I still rate it highly though. This is a change in tone, and it was needed for this TV show. So I rate this pretty highly. This episode, I really enjoyed it, and as ever, just flowed by, man. Like that, 25-30 minutes in, you don't even realise it's went.
This episode was one of the shortest. It was under 40 minutes.
It was, It was about 37 minutes with the
credits. They all feel the same length. They all feel about 20 minutes long.
Absolutely rattle through it.
And see, when a television series can do that, it's very rare that the likes of your X-Files, Breaking Bad, etc.
How long?
You're that engrossed, you just forget time.
Yeah, but look, Stephen, I agree. But that's going to round up the review of episode 7. We'll be back in the next 10 minutes or so to review episode 8, a second review. But look, what was your thoughts on that? Maybe you can share it down below. Thoughts on Harshad, the thoughts on this episode in general. Share us your thoughts in the comment section. You can also like the video if you've enjoyed it and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more reviews, more content like this, more reactions in the future. If you do, that's what you'll get, more of all of the above that I've just mentioned. But look, we'll be back, as I did say, in the next 10 minutes for another review of episode 8, Matador. Bye-bye, guys.